Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Amira K, and I'm back today with a get ready with me. This is basically a video where I just do my makeup and I'm going to talk about some things with you guys. There's been a lot going on in the beauty community, and I'm not usually, I guess, someone that is fixated on sharing my opinion, but you know, it's always those couple of topics that always sort of get me in the side where I feel like I just have to say something. I have to speak my piece. And usually in these type of videos, I really want you guys to comment back. So it's just been a lot going on. So I just wanted to do like a fun video where I just do my makeup and we get to talk a little bit. I will be checking the comments just to see if there's some dialogue there. I love to hear, you know, different opinions. So I really want to get into that with you guys. For this particular get ready with me, I wanted to use not necessarily black owned products, but products that may not be black owned but are from a genuine perspective, as inclusive as possible. And I'll be touching on that word inclusive. I feel like it's starting to become like a very touchy word, a very controversial word. So I don't want to waste any time. I want to get right into it. So if you guys first have not subscribed to my channel, please make sure you are subscribed down below. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button as well as the bell button so you're notified every time I post new uploads to my channel. I've been incorporating a lot more art videos into this channel because I want you guys to see all aspects of me. So please make sure you are subscribed so you can, you know, just keep locked into everything that I'm doing. I really have my hands in a lot of different things right now, so I really want you guys to, you know, keep up with me and keep up with everything I'm doing. So subscribe and let's get into it. So for this get ready with me, I wanted to do some unproblematic brands. And when I say that, I mean unproblematic when it comes to inclusivity and really just coming from a genuine space. I feel like there's been a lot of brands and there's been a lot of dialogue about brands being inclusive when it comes to shade ranges and, you know, foundations a lot more. We've been seeing the foundation conversation a lot. You know, also concealers, powders, and things like that, and just, you know, making sure that everybody is represented. It seems like it's not just a deeper skin tone issue anymore. It seems like there's people from all shades sort of speaking up for deeper skin tones and really wanting everybody to be included. So I wanted to use brands in this get ready with me that I feel have been doing this without being asked to, and I think that's really important. Like, don't get me wrong, I feel like, you know, it's great that brands are sort of seeing where they have errors and trying to correct it, but if I'm going to be honest with myself, I feel like there's been a lot of, it's just been a lot of eyes on this whole thing and how it can very, very, very finely sort of veer its way into a racism sort of dialogue. And I just am having a problem reconciling if these brands are extending their shade ranges. Are they having more black models? Are they doing all this promotion and things like that? Are they doing it from a genuine space where they really want to do it, or are they doing it from a, we don't want our brand to fail because of black people? So I really wanted to do a get ready with me with brands that I feel like have been representing different skin tones and really having inclusive shade ranges and inclusive products, not just with foundations but with other products as well, before really being told to, or before this was like such a hot topic issue. And for me, that's just important. So I'm going to start with the MAC Brow Fluid Line Gel Cream. And when I think about inclusive brands, probably my first thought goes to MAC. MAC has been, I mean, repping for brown girls way before this conversation. And, you know, as far as I know, I've never seen them like take a jab or, you know, try to shade anybody about their shade range. And since this has been a hot topic, but I mean, I remember as a young girl, you know, my older sisters, you know, all of our first makeup experiences were with MAC, because MAC was just one of the only brands that really had products for us, you know, and not just foundations, but powders, you know, bronzers, skin finishers, press powders, you know, those you would think that it is not a big deal, you know, and then it's just like, well, you know, like what's the big deal in finding products in your shade range? And, you know, as a young girl, that was hard, you know, and it wasn't easy. And yes, there were some other, you know, brands, and specifically black owned brands, but not all of those products were really good, you know. So, you know, some of those were still ashy, or, you know, whatever it is. So MAC is, to me, probably the most OG of this whole shade range conversation. For eyeshadow, I'll be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette. And I believe Anastasia has been pretty inclusive. When I think about her products, I don't necessarily think about like her foundation sticks. I heard they're coming out with new foundations, so I'll be looking to that. But when I think about how inclusive Anastasia brand has been, I definitely think about their contour kits. I think about their highlighter palettes. Now, of course, not all of their highlighter palettes speak to me, but I think their palettes like That Glow and Sun Dipped, and even their eyeshadow palettes. I think I own a few. This specifically is probably my favorite palette from them, but when I think about their palettes, eyeshadows, I think even those palettes, you know, there might be like that one like tempera color, that sort of like white, sort of canvasy khaki color that I may not get a lot of use out of, but all of their other colors usually are still very apparent on deeper skin tones, and that's what I really appreciate. There's a lot of eyeshadow palettes that really only deeper skin tones can use like half of them. So I really do like the fact that for the most part, a lot of Anastasia's palettes, when it comes to highlighters, eyeshadows, the contour kits, have all been very inclusive and thought about deeper skin tones way before this conversation even started. The idea of this video came up after I saw a post on Trend Mood's Instagram, and they were I guess promoting or announcing the new Beauty Blender foundation. And my first thought is, why is Beauty Blender coming out with a foundation? Other than that, the shades were just it was a mess. I'm not gonna lie. It was a mess. And, you know, long story short, over the past, I guess, couple posts, you know, there's been some back and forth between Trend Mood and, you know, Beauty Blender, and Beauty Blender, you know, accusing, you know, it to be like filtered wrong, and, you know, people are just going on about the shade range. And I mean, I think it's just important to say the shade range is bad, you know, like those are the facts. No filter makes those shades look the way it is. It's literally one row of deeper skin tones, and they are so choppy and so, you know, the shade range for the deeper skin tones is not graceful at all. It's like the first three rows look, I mean, they almost look kind of the same, but you can tell there's some differences. But that last row, just like, it screams, oh yeah, black people. It just annoyed me so much that, you know, not just the shade ranges, but people's response to it. You know, you have people like Nikki Tutorial saying, well, the shade range isn't good. You know, the black people aren't, well, the deeper skin tones aren't being represented, so I'm not going to do a review. You have Jeffree Star talking about, oh, I'm not, oh my goodness, you know, it's not enough melanin. Like, it's just, I mean, I really hope that these people are genuine in what they're saying, but to me, it really seems like people are taking the topic of inclusivity and really just trying to run with it because it's a trendy thing to talk about now. And I really hope that's not the case, at least with Nikki Tutorials. I think she's, you know, obviously an amazing makeup artist, and she always does these very like flawless looks. But I have never heard her talk about, you know, issues like this before, you know, and I really feel like this is a trendy topic and people now want to harp on this as if this has been one of their concerns from the very beginning, and that's just troubling to me, you know, especially when you talk about things like skin tone. Skin tone is not something that I think should be played with. It is not something that should be used for somebody's growth or for somebody's benefit or for somebody to want to look or appear, you know, hip to something. You know, these are issues that are real life situations that people deal with on an everyday basis. You know, these are things that trouble people to the point where people have insecurities about this because they don't feel beautiful, because they don't feel included, because they don't feel like they're accepted when it comes to the conversation of beauty. So for, you know, for people that to never have spoken about this before, to speak about it now, I just find it a little bit troubling. You know, I personally would have preferred for Beauty Blender to maybe come out with some concealers. You know, I think they would have had even that shade range. It would have still been horrible, but even then I feel like the shade range may have gotten a little bit more understanding if it was promoted as concealers, because concealers are typically lighter, you know, and people go like a shade up or, you know, a couple shades up for concealers, and beauty blenders are mostly used when applying a concealer. You know, people use it for foundation, but for the most part I see beauty blenders, you know, for that under the eye, you know, to get that flawless concealer look. So I'm really confused why they even stepped into the foundation, you know, circus. And who is on your team that is not telling you that that is bad, that that wasn't going to be good? You know what I mean? Like, it's just so troubling to me. It's so troubling that people just don't see what's clear to the eye. And it just astounded me that they went back and forth with people, like replying to people saying that, you know, the shade range is really good, you know, and that we do have, I think they said like 16 shades for deeper skin tones. And it was like, clearly either you don't understand deeper skin tones or you're just lying. You know what I mean? And I think that's one thing that I can appreciate about Too Faced and, you know, their Born This Way foundation. They saw error in their shade range and they brought in somebody. You know, they didn't try to just say, okay, we'll fix it on our own and fail terribly. They put somebody in that is known for being vocal about shade range, like Jackie Aina, and really said, okay, we really want you to like sort of, you know, spearhead this. I don't see how anybody that works at Beauty Blender or for Beauty Blender can look at those shades with a straight face and be like, we should put this out. Like, it almost seems like a trolling type of situation. Like, did y'all really think that was a good idea? Like, somebody really okayed that? I just, ooh, child, the negligence. But while we're speaking about Jackie Aina, I had the pleasure of catching one of her more recent videos where she did a Muslim slash halal sort of makeup tutorial using like Muslim owned products, Muslim owned companies and things like that. And throughout the video she mentioned some of her favorite Muslim bloggers and YouTubers and things like that. Now, when I first saw the thumbnail, I could not click on it fast enough because I was like, what's going on here? You know, and to be fair, my experience as a YouTuber, that is kind of the battle when you upload a new video, you know, having that sort of, I don't want to say clickbait because I don't think Jackie does like a shady clickbait, but I definitely think that she, you know, I definitely think that she thinks about her title and her thumbnail and things like that. You know, I think that's just normal for any YouTuber to want to have content that makes people want to click on it. That's kind of the point when it comes to YouTube. So, you know, when I saw her in hijab, I was just like, what? Like, what's going on? And I saw the title, but I was genuinely curious about, you know, what Muslim brand she was going to include. And by the end of the video, she's like in full hijab, you know, she's wearing a scarf, and, you know, she's mentioned some of her favorite hijabi bloggers. And, you know, it was, I mean, overall it was a cute video. I love the look she did too, with the eyes, with the Huda beauty palette. It was really, really pretty. But from what I heard on Twitter more specifically, I think she got a lot of love on it on Instagram, but on Twitter, from what I heard, I didn't see any, but, you know, they said that, you know, people were kind of giving her a hard time about, you know, wearing the hijab and, you know, things like that. And I gotta say, I kind of get it, because anybody that wears hijab understands that this is not a game, you know, like, this is not like a light thing to wear. This is something that women genuinely struggle with every day as far as wearing it and representing it. Because what people don't understand is that, you know, as a woman, you are more readily identifiable as a Muslim than a man. A lot of Muslim men, a lot of adult Muslim men, especially, you know, between, I would say between 15 and maybe 60, do not wear what they would call a kufi, which is a sort of the head garb that a man would wear as a Muslim. A lot of Muslim men do not wear the kufi. Muslim women, however, are judged when they don't wear the khimar or the hijab. So it's just very touchy, you know. I could definitely understand. It didn't offend me personally, but I can definitely understand why people would be like, you know, that's really nothing to play with, especially if you're in the video identifying as a Christian, you know. And one of the things that I did find a little troubling is that, you know, Jackie has done you know, Muslim friendly videos before. You know, she does like Eid makeup tutorials every year for Eid, and as far as I've been subscribed to her, she's never worn the hijab. So, you know, for those videos, so it was a little questionable, like, why would you wear the hijab? But I guess maybe she thought maybe it would be disrespectful maybe to wear a wig, or to wear, you know, one of her head wraps or one of her wigs at the end of it. I don't know. It left me feeling like, okay, that was a really nice video to do, but personally, I would have liked maybe some more mentions of bloggers that weren't so I guess, I don't want to say famous, but bloggers that really didn't need more publicity. You know, like, she shouted out a lot of already successful Muslim bloggers, and I personally would have liked, you know, her mentioning some bloggers that, you know, people aren't aware of. You know, a lot of the bloggers that she mentioned were people that already have, I mean, tons of subscribers, tons of followers, and it's kind of like, but I guess those are maybe people that she knows. They said they were her favorite bloggers. So I'm kind of like, okay, I get it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's one of those things that I guess you're not going to be able to please everybody. But from what I heard, people were giving her a hard time, and you know, I think that's the risk you take when you try to be inclusive, when you try to represent other groups, is that there's always going to be those people that just aren't satisfied, or people that don't take what you're trying to say, or don't really receive it the way you want them to receive it. And that's kind of risky, and it's unfortunate, you know, but I think that's part of the reason why people sort of shy away from the inclusive conversation, because, you know, you might be in for more than, you know, you initially signed up for. So I'm going to go in with the Laura Mercier medium deep powder, and I think she came out with this probably before the inclusive. I feel like the inclusive conversation has really reached an all-time high now. I feel like this is almost a year old, and I really enjoy this. I think it is so flawless, and I've been saying this since she came out with this. I really wish she comes out with some other shades. Obviously, I don't know how this works for like super deep skin tones, but for me, I really enjoy putting this in my T-zone, and it's been working like a charm. And it actually reminds me, well, not, it doesn't remind me, I guess in a bad way. It kind of, when I saw the latest BH Cosmetics bronzers that they plan to come out with, them bronzers, first of all, it's only 3, and they are pretty much the same. Like, the first one obviously is for super light skin tones, and then the other 2 are supposed to be golden, and of course, you know, the black sort of narrative cocoa. You know, there's always a cocoa when you're talking about deeper skin tones, and those shades are probably damn near the spitting image of each other, with maybe one being a bit warmer. And they are pretty much the same. Like, the first one obviously is for super light skin tones, and then the other 2 are supposed to be golden, and of course, you know, the black sort of narrative cocoa. You know, there's always a cocoa when you're talking about deeper skin tones, and those shades are probably damn near the spitting image of each other, with maybe one being a bit warmer. I'm going to be using the Nars Natural Radiant Longwear Foundations, and I really love these. Nars is probably up there with MAC when I think about brands that have been inclusive for a long time that aren't necessarily black owned. And I just absolutely adore Nars. They're probably my favorite brand as far as just products collectively, like across the board, that just are not any bad products. So I really enjoy this brand. And I feel like, you know, they've been representing, especially for foundations. Now that Sun Wash Diffusing Bronzer, I felt like needed some work. But their foundations I find absolutely gorgeous. That's one of the things. I'm using Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer. That's one of the things that always attracted me to Nars, is that their campaigns, their releases, have always been true to color. You know, I've never ordered something of Nars that didn't look how it looked in a photo, that the model wasn't relatable in shade range. Like, I don't feel like they have to do all these weird filters and do all these sort of explanations when they release something, because the colors speak for themselves. I'm probably going to use a Real Techniques blender to blend this out. Obviously, I won't be using a beauty blender. All of these companies are really messing up my face. I'm like, listen, I can't use Shape Tape no more. Once I run out of that, I can't use, you know, my beauty blender no more, because y'all don't know how to act. Like, can y'all just hire black people so we can just move forward? For contour, I'm going to use the Fenty Beauty Matchstick in Truffle. It's probably my favorite contour right now. And Fenty really shook the table when they launched something that, you know, she started with 30 or she started with 25, and then she was like, oh, we're going to get some shades later. She jumped out the gate with 40 shades, you know, with no excuses, with no sort of, you know, statement about how long it's going to take. And she really shook the table. And I think that's what got people kind of like, okay, this isn't just like a brand with a name behind it. This is somebody that actually took time to make a good product. And, you know, I thank her for sort of waking up these other brands and realizing, like, hey, you know, people have other options now. You know, that whole, you know, I'm going to buy 3 different foundations to get my shade. Like, no, that's dead. I'm going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills That Glow Glow Kit to apply my highlighter. I mean, I don't know one black girl that didn't love this. I think I'm going to go with my good old favorite golden bronze. And for the lip, I'll be going in with the Colourpop and Karen collaboration 951. They've been really doing some good inclusive products. Also, when they came out with their concealers, when they extended their concealer line, I'm not a big fan of their foundations, but shade range wise, it was actually a pretty good release. So this is the final look of my inclusive Get Ready With Me. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Overall, I just wanted to share this video with you guys because I think it's really important now, where there is a lot of politics that goes into just being an aware consumer, not just with beauty and the beauty market, but just overall, and making smart purchases and knowing that your purchases as a consumer are going towards companies and brands that reinvest into you and reinvest into people like you and really consider you when it's time for those big board meetings and how they manufacture their products and how they think about their products. That's really, really important. And for me, I'm more so of a person where I want to make sure that all of that is coming from a genuine place. In 5 or 10 years, if this is not such a big issue anymore, I want to make sure that the brands that I'm patronizing now are still the brands that are going to be keeping shades like myself and deeper shades up on the shelves and in produce and in production in their own companies. You know, this is not something that should be a fad. This is not something that should just be popular right now, you know, and that's what's really important for me. For those companies that may have just started, or maybe they're just being aware now, or maybe they're just like, you know what, we should try to do better, I applaud you all. And I guess only time will tell if that interest and if that sort of change in the way you produce your products and manufacture your products is really something that you mean. Time will tell, because, you know, obviously if those products fade out and you don't make them again, or you don't try to improve on your products and really making sure it's inclusive, then I guess time will tell. But as of right now, I really want to make sure that I am supporting brands that think about me, you know, and the brands in this video are brands that I know for certain have always thought about me and always thought about deeper skin tones, and have really made me feel beautiful because I can shop their entire line and find something in my shades. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you took something away from it. Please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Check out these previous uploads that should be on your screen right now, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.